Recently I got the opportunity to visit Metropolis Studios in London, where Boss were previewing the new Waza Tube Amp Expander. Aside from the exciting new product, I realised this would be a good opportunity to talk about amplifier impedance and the other issues that this new product resolves. So what is impedance? Impedance is physics. Physics is complicated, so we're going to make some really broad strokes here because we're musicians, not scientists. The word impedance means resistance of an electric circuit. It's measured in ohms, which is written with the Greek symbol omega, which you'll likely recognize from the back of your amp head or maybe some other electronics. Or it's the upside down chapter symbol of the Ultramarines if you're a tabletop nerd like me.
I am a space marine.
Impedance is really important when you're finding a speaker cabinet to plug your amp head into, because if you mismatch the impedance, bad things could happen. Your best bet is to match them exactly, so if your amp head says 8 ohms, you should plug into an 8 ohm speaker cabinet. That way you can guarantee that you're hearing the amp head as its creators intended. Now that's not always possible, but mismatching won't necessarily break anything. Necessarily.
This day is getting interesting.
So here are some good rules of thumb. As long as your speaker isn't more than twice the impedance of your amp head, you'll be fine. Similarly, your speaker shouldn't be less than 1/4 of the amp impedance, right? Mismatching can alter tone, which might be a good thing. For example, an 8 ohm amp into a 16 ohm speaker will give you more mids. A 16 ohm amp into a 4 ohm speaker will give you less mids. Yeah? Usually as a gigging guitarist, you'll turn up to a venue with your amp head and then you'll plug into whatever speaker cabinet is already on stage. So if you're mismatching in this situation, then you'll probably just need to adjust the EQ on the amp to accommodate, which ideally you'd do anytime you're in a new room or using new or unfamiliar equipment anyway, so you should be used to doing this. Now, many manufacturers have tried to combat this issue by including a variety of outputs with different impedances on the backs of their amplifiers, so wherever you are, you'll probably be able to match exactly. But a lot of us like older gear. Maybe more than other musicians, guitarists seem to really love vintage tube amps, many of which won't have this variety of outputs, and that is one of the problems that the Waza Tube Amp Expander solves. This unit sits between an amplifier and the speakers, and it allows users to alter the output impedance of their favourite tube amp so it reacts to the speakers in a way that they want. This is achieved using what Boss call a reactive load.
Every time you plug an amp into a different speaker cab, it's going to feel and sound and respond very, very differently. So the idea behind a reactive load is it mimics the impedance curve of a speaker. We can plug our amp into this box and this then becomes our speaker. It basically mimics what a speaker cab would be doing, and it tricks your amp into what it's seeing.
There's a lot that this product can do, but the short version is the Waza Tube Amp Expander allows guitarists to use vintage tube amplifiers the same flexibility that modern or digital amp players enjoy. You can now achieve those genuine classic amplifier sounds straight into your DAW via USB without annoying your neighbours because you have to crank it all the way up to get the sound you want, nor do you have to worry about using microphones in an imperfect room. You can also apply effects cleanly on top of your amplifier before it heads to the speakers, which is really crucial for delay and reverb effects, which otherwise would be subject to your amp head's distortion, which is not what you want most of the time. And all of this can be controlled via foot controllers. So that was a pretty basic look at amplifier impedance, how to avoid tone issues, and how Boss are bringing tube amps into contemporary music production. Thanks for hanging out and watching the video. I have 2 questions for you today. You can leave them in the comments section below. Question 1, do you use a tube amp? If so, what kind of tube amp? What do you like about it? And what do you like about it over other modern amps you've tried? Question 2, how do you like this style of video? It was going to be a straight up product review, but I actually kind of wanted to take the opportunity to do something more educational rather than a straightforward, boss, have this new thing you should buy. I actually wanted to share some info, try to teach something. So let me know if you like that, or if you would prefer just a straightforward, here's a thing you should buy demonstration type thing. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. That's pretty important to me. And I'll see you next Friday at 4 p.m. for either something like this or some dumb piece of music. Who knows? Haven't decided yet. See you later.